Hello and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast with me, Matthew, and as always I am joined with...
Hello, I'm Scott, and yeah, it's almost season final time, baby.
It is. It is almost the time for the end of series 1 of this show called Doctor Who. Never heard of it. As we got part 1 of the final this past Friday with The Legend of Ruby Sunday. A pretty darn good episode, I would say. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this episode.
I was captivated the entire time, I must say. Even though, in retrospect, I think the episode suffers from being entirely set up. It is. It's the same problem we had with the Pandorica opens, where the entire time we're just waiting around for a cliffhanger, basically, you know. But I was captivated.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I haven't watched it twice. I've only seen it once so far. Right. So most of the other episodes I've been able to rewatch before we record. I haven't had a chance to rewatch this one yet. So I'm curious as to what it's going to be like upon a second viewing, knowing the Sutekh twist, spoilers, and things like that going into it. How much of it is going to be like, okay, this is a lot of waiting around and a lot of nothing happening, but
a lot of waiting around and basically just rewatching the church on Ruby Road for like 10-15 minutes.
But there's some cool sequences in there. There's some weird, I think, leaps to conclusions, particularly with the whole Susan stuff, where it's like, what's the connection, the possibility that this... Oh, I guess because it was the TARDIS anagram and she was called Susan. Yeah. That they were like, oh, it must be Susan. But even that feels kind of like a stretch. And also a weird tease. Susan is... got to show up now.
Basically, yeah.
If she doesn't, it feels like you're just being mean.
I think we needed like 2 or 3 lines from the Doctor basically being like, hey, I've been spending this last 6 months with this lady who got abandoned as a baby, and I was basically thinking, who abandons their child? Oh shit, I abandoned my child, is what the Doctor should have been like, you know. And that's a logical conclusion, you know. Susan's been on his mind a lot, basically, I think, because he's been with Ruby this entire time. Like, what kind of damage does to a person when they get abandoned? Like, yeah, Susan would be fucking damaged, you know. Like, leaving Susan in a post-apocalyptic world with some guy she just met, you know. Insane.
But what did we think? What did we think of Susan Twist? Theresa May herself as in villain form. Did you find the explanation satisfying? Conclusion to why she's been showing up all over the place?
I mean, do we have an explanation yet? Not really.
Not really.
Not really, I guess.
She's kind of. Was she Sutekh, or was she possessed? Because she turns into skeleton person at the end, doesn't she? So is she just like one of Sutekh's puppets, or is she part of Sutekh? I haven't watched this twice. I've only watched this once, so I'm going off vague memories. And I watched this when I was on holiday in Glasgow really early in the morning. So it was, this is a lot's happened between now and then and now.
Yeah, I don't think they actually explained what kind of person Sutekh is. Well, Susan, what's her last name?
Triad,
yeah. Susan Triad.
Susan Triad.
They didn't really explain who Susan Triad is outside of the whole Sutekh thing, you know. So we don't know if she's an actual person or if she's just an entity created. She seems like an actual person who existed before she got possessed by Sutekh, but we don't know the full story about what's going on yet. Also, that's the annoying thing about doing a part 1. We just don't know the full story yet. So
it's all set up. We've got a bunch of questions.
All our critiques could be answered within 2 minutes. You know.
Yeah. I don't know if I really have that many critiques on this episode. I felt like everything was kind of just moving at a pretty steady pace. You've got some weird stuff with Unit that people have been talking about online with Kate Stewart's obsession with child labor, because you've got both the young dude whose name I don't remember,
Morris Gibson. Yeah.
Yes.
Gibbons. Sorry.
And Rose there doing absolutely nothing. Rose did fuck all in this episode. Don't know why she was here. She's got maybe like a couple lines of dialogue, if that.
And like one of her lines of dialogue, I can't remember the exact line, but basically she's like, "Yeah, I get the basically the most petty kind of stuff to deal with in this corporation, like the least important stuff, you know." So she doesn't really do much at Unit, I don't think. She is definitely the person who does the least here, and I think if anybody could have been written out of the episode, it could be her, because I haven't seen a single shot of her in the next time in like any promotion for a season final, so like she seems to be like the least important character, I would say. So that's a shame, because I like Rose.
I like her enough. Rewatching, because I've started rewatching through this new era of Doctor Who again. Hopefully, I don't know if I'll get it all done before the final comes out, but I'll hopefully make a dent. But I finished watching through all the 60th stuff last night. I watched it just back to back, all 3 episodes. And Rose is not good at acting.
That's a hot take.
bad performance in Star Beast. Honestly, it was rough. Star Beast itself, I don't think holds up very well. Some of the dialogue in that episode, man, is rough.
I'm excited to go back to it. You know, the whole male presenting Time Lord line is the one line I was like,
that entire scene is real bad.
Like, you know, half an hour ago, David Tennant was a lady. You know?
Yeah, it's
like that line doesn't make sense in any kind of context, but okay.
There's lots of weird little dialogue lines, and just Star Beast has a lot of problems in it that I think, especially compared to the other 2 episodes, make it stand out a lot. There's also weird pacing across the entire 60th anniversary. But anyway, this isn't a talk about.
I mean, there's weird pacing. There's weird pacing throughout the entire series.
This whole era so far, yeah.
I'm on board with all the people who say maybe these episodes need 10 minutes. We've said that before, but definitely, because this episode
when I looked at it, it was 45. I was like, oh, okay, wow, short.
Next episode is 55 minutes, so maybe it's the whole shebang, you know, it's the whole thing that we're getting next week. But this episode was supposed to open up in 1947 USA, where the Doctor and Ruby bump into a lady who looks like Susan Twist, and then they go to another place, they bump into a lady who looks like Susan Twist, and another lady who looks like Susan Twist. So they keep meeting these Susan Twists. That's why this episode opens up with Susan Twists we have never seen before, because it's in deleted scenes. And speaking of deleted scenes, next Saturday, this Saturday, you know, we're getting a half-hour special of Doctor Who Unleashed, which is apparently all about the deleted scenes. So that's going to be interesting to see what was cut out, and I would imagine there's a lot that was cut out that needed to be in the episode. So I'm interested to see all these deleted scenes.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see the deleted scenes as well, and if they would add any needed context or better pacing to some of these episodes. We've also got coming out on Thursday to fucking, I don't know if it's probably out now. It's probably already out by the time you're listening to this, which is the Tales of the TARDIS episode covering the Pyramids of Mars, which is the story in which Sutekh was a villain, and it's got remastered special effects and is a new cut of the story according to Russell T. Davis. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I've never seen Pyramids of Mars before.
I haven't seen this story since I was 10 years old, so almost 16 years ago, so it's been a long time. Apparently there's some racist shit in it, so maybe
probably not in the new cut. Probably not in the new cut.
But you know, we'll eventually cover Pyramids of
the
Mars. I
original
think
story.
Yeah, I think we've got it slotted for autumn. So if you want to listen to our thoughts on, I keep on wanting to call it Waters of Mars for some reason. Pyramids of Mars. If you want to hear our thoughts, just subscribe and just wait.
It's September time. September,
Yes.
we've got that scheduled for. But we also, there's been the Sutekh reveal, the whole Sutekh stuff in this episode, because I didn't know who Sutekh was until obviously I went online and everybody told me who Sutekh was, so I could pretend that I obviously knew the entire time. There were some rumblings and some theories about Sutekh being the villain. I had seen stuff about Sutekh before the episode came out, with people theorizing that it could be this for X, Y, and Z reasons. Since the reveal, and people have been going back to Pyramids of Mars, there's been a really nice bit of, I think, subtle foreshadowing that has to be purposeful with the Series 1 poster of Doctor Who with the psychedelic rainbow strips behind the Doctor, and it looks almost exactly the same in Pyramids of Mars with whatever the fuck the whatever it is, I want to say sarcophagus, is that a word? Sarcophagus feels like a word.
That sounds right.
whatever that like transporty thing that Sutekh is using has got almost the exact same rainbow spiral patterns, which feels like an incredible bit of foreshadowing. That is. I know we have mocked the lack of subtlety in Russell T Davies's style before, but that is a wonderful bit of subtlety right there.
My favorite thing about the whole Sutekh, people discovering the whole Sutekh twist, is somebody on Russell T Davies's Instagram page left a comment saying, hey, I think the twist is going to be that Sutekh is going to be a thing because of it, obviously the anagram, Susan Tech, Sutekh. And there was a reply to that comment saying, do you really think Sutekh is going to wait around on Earth and just mess around with silly puns like that? And Russell T Davies liked that comment. Just basically calling out, that doesn't make sense for Sutekh to just sit around and do silly anagrams like that. That doesn't make sense, but I guess
that's what Sutekh does. We got bored. This episode also we theorized last week that maybe this episode was going to answer some of the problems we were having with the TARDIS in this series, and it doesn't fully explain away some of the Doctor's behavior to the TARDIS, because the Doctor's kind of just been pretending like the TARDIS isn't there. But with the TARDIS like flying in and crashing all the time, and not acting the way the TARDIS normally acts, it's had a giant demon dog on top of it that it's now friends with, or like Sutekh is like attached itself to it. I couldn't work out if the TARDIS was consensually teaming up with the big bad here, or if the big bad just kind of glommed on to the TARDIS. I don't know, but we got some cool spooky shots of the TARDIS.
Yeah, I guess we'll get answers to that next week. It's hard to kind of say, this episode didn't explain this, when it's our first two-parter since 2020, which is fucking insane.
Jesus. Yeah, God, time's going too fast. It doesn't feel that long ago.
I know.
There was also, besides the Susan Triad stuff, we've got some Mrs. Flood stuff. She was back in this episode and doing almost nothing. Again, is probably going to be answered next week, but she is looking after Cherry Sunday for a scene, and she's like, "You're not getting your tea." And that was that. So
interesting
scene.
Yeah, that was kind of insane. Mrs. Flood basically comes in and she's like, I'm always hiding myself away, wink, wink.
Yeah, which some people thought was either Susan coded or just like, I think it was mostly Susan, because the Doctor mentioned something about Time Lords hiding themselves away, and then in literally like the next scene, Mrs. Flood is like, I hide myself away, wahaha. And I don't know, if it turns out it is Susan, I am going to be sad that we never got, it's Caroline Ford's Susan, right? That's the...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
put out
be
a
sad she
poll
wouldn't come
on
back.
Twitter. I don't know the final results of the actual poll I put out, so if you give me a
Check.
second, I'll have a quick look. I am.
Go to
I am.
xxx.com.
There's a lot of stuff about Step Brothers in this one. Interesting. For God's sake. I hate this.
I see who can find it faster, you or
For
me.
God's
I found
sake.
I found it straight away. Right. So 42% of people think. So there was a poll that Scott put out on our Twitter @WatchesDoctor, which you can go and give a good follow if you like. This poll got 38 responses. With all the mentions of Susan recently, when do we think Carol Ann Ford is going to make her big comeback? Personally, I think it's a bit too much to bring her back next week, so I'm thinking next season. Well, Scott, the people don't agree with you, as 42.1% think she is coming back in the final episode as Susan, with 23% thinking Christmas special, 18% thinking next season, and 15%, including myself, saying never. I only voted for never because I thought it was funny.
I feel like there's gotta be a chance that Susan comes back, right? You know, it's you know, if all these mentions of Susan, it would be such a disappointment if she doesn't come back in some capacity. But then, I'm hoping there's an episode next season. I hope next season is about the Doctor trying to find Susan to try and salvage that relationship or whatever. And I just want an episode all about Susan. But then again, Carol Ann Ford is in her mid-80s.
She's very old.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe she just didn't want to come back. Maybe she was like, I'm happily retired. Although she's doing Big Finish now, so,
I don't think she's done Big Finish. I know she box set just got announced yesterday.
Yeah, that's what are you talking about?
That's Big Finish for you. Always sneaking in, but
Yeah.
maybe she's unable to do more than a day of shooting. So maybe we will get a scene next week where the Doctor
Maybe
is
it'll be like a
reminiscing.
flashback or something.
Yeah, well, next week we've got the memory TARDIS, and I think there's going to be a scene probably where the Doctor's like, oh, I remember Susan, and then Susan pops up in the TARDIS, because that's what the memory TARDIS does if you haven't seen Tales of the TARDIS, which you haven't, which is shocking. The ghost of William Hartnell comes in one episode. It's pretty
interesting.
Cool. Well, not the ghost, but there's a shadow that appears in the doorway, and you can hear William Hartnell do a little giggle.
Incredible. But yeah, no. Back on to this episode here. What other questions do we have built up? Mel's in this episode. That was lots of fun. It was nice to see Mel. She's been all over Doctor Who recently. Showing up and stuff.
I hesitate to say she does nothing in this episode, but she kind of does nothing.
To
like
be
any
fair,
other character could have been given her a role. Do you know what I mean?
But to be fair though, like there's not a lot for any character to do here other than their job at Unit HQ.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole episode is using the Unit technology to try and figure out Ruby's past. We get some stuff here with the Doctor finally saying that he can't go back to visit Ruby's birth because he was already there once and he was going to time lock himself. He's time locked himself out of it, to which I say watch Father's Day. Didn't stop you then. That's all I'm saying.
But then they started getting the talk basically with Grim Reapers.
Yeah. And they use their technology for a bit to try and figure out what's going on. Ruby's mother remains hidden. I still don't know who Ruby's mother's going to be revealed to be. Possibly Mrs. Flood, possibly Susan. They're hinting a lot at, like, maybe Ruby is a Time Lord or something. And, she's related to the Doctor in some way. She's Susan's granddaughter or Susan's daughter. Or, maybe it's not that at all. Maybe it's fucking Ruby behind the cloak. I don't know.
I kind of have an issue with trying to predict who the mother might be because there's no natural breadcrumbs that are being laid here. to
It's just
indicate who it could be.
Cloaked figure, yeah.
Because all these mentions of Susan and all this Mrs. Flood stuff, those seem separate. You know, obviously, and those also have mystery boxes. I am kind of bored of all these mystery boxes, to be honest with you, because they're only surface deep. I think it's I'm having an issue. I think
I am half expecting the answer to who is Ruby's mum to be she's some faceless big bad guy, and then Ruby goes, you know what? I don't want to know you as my parent. I spent all this time looking for my mum when my real mum was with me the whole time. And she goes over to whatever her adoptive mum's name is. I don't remember.
Carla, yeah.
Yeah, she goes over to Carla and she's like, "You're my mummy, actually." And it's kind of like the whole
no, sorry,
doctor...
Clara.
Yeah, it's kind of like the doctor with the fob watch in Flux, where it's like, I could learn my entire past right now, but I don't want to because I'm happy where I'm at. Ruby could basically be the same, where it's like, you know, I could learn who my real mother was, but I don't need to because I have a real mother, you know, in Carla. So we'll see. I don't know. It's going to be hard to make it a satisfying payoff.
Yeah. I mean, we do get the cliffhanger of Ruby back in the time window, and she's looking at the figure and she's like, Mom, you know, so
yeah.
Maybe we'll get it next week. I doubt it, you know. I doubt it.
I don't know. I don't have that much to say about this episode. It was just solid. It was just a totally good episode without much going on because it's all set up. It's all, what does this mean? I don't know. Let's see if it answers it. What does this mean? I don't know. Let's see.
I do think this is the best use of Kate since she was brought into the show 10, 11 years ago now. You know, I think this was best use of Kate because we get to see a vulnerable side of Kate in this episode. You know, there's more of a humanity behind her, you know, instead of just being constant unit professional who hires children. There's some really sweet scenes between her and the doctor, you know, the whole scene where she's like, when I grew up, my dad kept on telling me stories all about you. Tales of a Doctor, which is something I caught on to because of the spin-off show being Tales of a TARDIS.
Yeah.
and the whole she gives a detail of her father being being lit up by the fireside, which is basically what Tales of a TARDIS is, just the companion sitting by the fireside talking about the Doctor, you know? So that's and I think this episode does give a canon explanation of what the memory TARDIS is, because the whole time window thing, the Doctor's looking at the TARDIS and he's like, the TARDIS seems a bit more solid in this, you know? I can't remember his exact line. Give me a second. I've written it down. We've given the time window the best power of all, memory. Time is remembered, memory is time. That TARDIS is almost solid. If time is memory, and memory is time, then what is the memory of a time machine? I think this is the explanation of what Tales of a TARDIS is. The whole memory TARDIS. So that's interesting. Obviously, Russell Davies revealed it is going to be explained within the show, but it is kind of weird that it is explained within the show, because I would have been fine if it wasn't. You know, it's just a fine little spin-off, but I'm interested to see where it goes within Doctor Who. You know, what's going to happen with it in Doctor Who? Because obviously it's explaining the spin-off.
Nothing, but... I bet nothing happens. I bet it's a throwaway line. The Doctor and Ruby are going to show up in it on Thursday and be like, "Whoa, how are we here? That's weird. I don't know. Anyway," and then next week will start and they won't even reference it.
I loved the whole time window thing. I love how archaic the technology is by using the videotape as a way to power it, because obviously from the 70s, and there's a whole scene where the Doctor's like, do you have access to time machines? You know? And Kate was like, no, you told us in the 70s not to mess around with time machines. Do you have access to a time window? Yes, it's on the 10th floor. Fucking loved that line. Because of course it's fucking Unit. Of course they messed around with time machines. And that's interesting because of a whole Unit dating controversy where, you know, the 70s stories with John Pertwee are actually set in the 80s, but this episode confirms that it is in the 70s, so it muddies the water a little bit more.
But Unit was also made by a snake man, so, you know, who knows what Unit's really doing at any given point. I did like the time window VHS things. I thought it was some really cool effects, and you could tell that they were very confident in these effects because we stay in this scene for a long time. We are in the time window in the past, way back with the goddamn goblin mentions again. For a huge chunk of this episode, and it looks pretty good. There's some bits where it's like, oh, that feels like you're on a green screen, but also like they're in a time window thing. I think it would kind of feel like that anyway. The shadow and the lighting's not going to be right.
They actually used a back projection for that, so it's all within the camera. Well, most of it is within the camera.
Volume style, yeah.
Almost. It's just back projection, which is what we've used for decades on this show. The volume is
essentially the same thing though, but it's just a giant screen. You know,
the volume
obviously got moving shit and things.
Yeah, the volume it's linked up to the camera, so if the camera moves, the environment moves. Whereas this is just good old-fashioned back projection, which worked because I kind of loved these effects, you know, and the whole way the time window is operated with this like 70 console, you know, whereas like loads of buttons and big levers. I really like the tangibility of the whole, because, you know, any other show would have just done, it's a time window and it's all done on a laptop. Somebody types really quickly and does all of this, whereas it's Lenny Rush at the console and there's like loads of buttons and there's big levers and it works really well. It's really cool.
Credit where credit's due for Lenny Rush as well, because he's like 13 or something. Like, he's stupidly young. He's a very good actor. He's
so young that on Doctor Who Unleashed, he's like, I've never actually used a videotape. I have no idea how they work. I'm like, no, I'm old.
Lenny Rush.
Yeah, he was 13 years old at least when he shot this.
Yes, he was born in 2009. Isn't that interesting?
Insane.
Yeah.
But he's a really good comic relief. He's got really good facial expressions. He knows how to use his face in a funny way.
He can deliver lines well.
Yeah,
he doesn't feel robotic when he's talking like a certain Rose does.
You're going to get a lot of Heartstopper fans being so angry.
I don't give a shit. I bet it's a bad show. We also got another Harbinger in this episode with a lady whose name I don't remember. Harriet? Yeah, because I kept thinking Harriet Jones. Every time they said Harriet, in my head I went, oh, Harriet Jones, nice. With this Harbinger bringing in Sutekh. Still don't fully understand what the Harbingers are, how they exist, or what they do, but I guess they're just there for, oh my god, that means a big spooky guy's coming. And whatever. It's a fun reveal. It's gonna make me ask questions that I'm not gonna ask because I don't think they really need answered or have any answers to. Just logistics wise, how does a Harbinger work and how did they get there and why did Sutekh want to be revealed at this point? And you know, there's a lot of things going on, but maybe that will all be answered.
Do you think the Doctor is going to have a prejudice against people with the letter H in their name from now on? he's just going to go up to people and yell, What's your last name?
What's your last name?
he is going to be so paranoid because this is obviously the second time it's happened now. It's
Yeah. God damn.
But yeah, she's also going to be in next episode, and there's a shot where in the trailer we see her from behind piloting the TARDIS, I guess, and people think she's David Tennant, and you have to be like, if you look closely at her hands and the back of her neck, she is clearly a black woman. David Tennant is not black.
Well, we'll see.
The amount of people who think that's David Tennant is insane because she's got like the little waistcoat on.
Yeah. I wouldn't, at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if David Tennant has a surprise appearance at the end of this.
No.
He is floating around still. There is still a doctor on this. It is universe ending stuff. There's also, I don't know, I'm half also expecting Donna to show up if Rose is in the next episode and she's in trouble or danger or whatnot, there's that line in the Star Beast where she's like, I will burn down the world for you, Rose. If things go wrong, I'll come running. Maybe Rose is in danger and there comes Donna to save the day. Haha, everybody claps and farts that their favorite characters here, but
yeah, of course, there's a brief mention to David Tennant inside of this episode where the doctor asks Rose, hey, how's your uncle? Which is a really bizarre line, thinking about it. I don't think we need any more characters to come into this. I can maybe accept Susan, but
double
please,
the amount of characters.
No.
Double the amount of characters, double the amount of questions.
One of the things that Russell D. Davies said on Doctor Who Unleashed, he says, basically, Unit's going to be a rotating cast. We're going to meet new characters from now on, and we're going to meet familiar characters from now on, and people could come back. Martha might come back because she does work for Unit, or did work for Unit. I'm surprised there's been no Martha mentioned. The Doctor could have easily just been like, hey, how's Martha doing? It's been a while.
The Doctor never liked Martha. That if you watch that series, the Doctor does not want Martha to travel with him at all.
I do feel like there should be some kind of scene between Martha and the Doctor, because I feel like they handled her character well in terms of like a racial point of view, but there is certain lines from series 3 that do not hold up, because there's that episode, the Shakespeare Code, where Martha's like, hey, I'm a black woman in the past. I kind of don't fit in here. And the Doctor just kind of shrugs her off and says,
don't worry about it.
Hey, I'm an alien. I don't present as human. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like now that he's a black man, maybe there's some,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll explain away what happened to Mickey. That'd be an interesting challenge for them. Mickey died on his way to his home planet. I don't know if there's what else.
What I liked about this episode is the whole. We've been sitting around. Well, most people have been sitting around saying, "Hey, S Triad." That spells TARDIS. The Doctor comes in.
I like how they answered that immediately. I thought that was great. It was like, haha, yes, I know how smart the audience is. Actually, it's not TARDIS. I thought that was handled really well. I enjoyed that a lot.
There's also an Elon Musk reference where Kate's like, evil genius of secret alien software is on top of our list. God knows we've stopped enough of them. Well, except for the obvious.
Yeah, but why would you stop the Tony Stark of our generation?
I am so fucking glad Doctor Who has never mentioned Elon Musk before this. Maybe they have, but they've never mentioned him in like a complimentary way.
They might have.
They might have. Because you look at Rick and Morty, you look at South Park, you look at The Simpsons. You look up Marvel, they've all complimented Elon Musk before. Yikes.
Yeah, I don't know if they've ever mentioned Elon Musk. Let's check fandom.com. No, but apparently Elon Musk was married to a Doctor Who star for a while.
Yes,
Yeah.
the lady from the Silence in the
Silence in the
Library,
Library for
who is
Sutekh,
now
yeah.
married to the little guy, the little boy from the Family of Blood. You know, the little guy who doesn't age. She's now
Yeah.
married to him. It's not funny.
Weird. What a weird world. But yeah, Elon Musk got referenced in this episode. I'm curious as to where this episode leads us into next week, and looking over to the community reactions, Scott, what do you think's been the forum's thoughts on this episode?
I think I've seen most people really, really like this episode. So I'm thinking a 9 as the top
You
vote.
would be absolutely correct, with 30% voting 9 out of 10 and 8 out of 10 coming in second and 10 out of 10 coming in third. It is pretty top heavy here. Not many people hating it. One person that did hate it,
Oh my
Jay.
Oh yes, yeah. I saw her comments.
yeah. Jay. I don't remember Jay's YouTube channel name, but they did the whole big JXE. That's it. Yeah, they did she did the whole big Death of Doctor Who video that's like 1,000 hours long. But yeah, she was posting on Twitter how much she absolutely despised this episode and things like that. I didn't super read into it. I saw another post where she was like, I'm gonna step away from the internet for a bit.
Yeah, because people went insane. Yeah, people were so unreasonable with her opinion. It's just like, it's
Yeah, how can you not like the same thing I liked? Anyway, let's see what some of these community comments are. Somebody is saying, still holding out for Susan next week. Absolutely rivetingly fantastic. Incredible sci-fi, incredible Doctor Who. Nothing like we have ever seen before. Filled with shocks and emotion. The Doctor like we have never seen him. Okay, I feel like that person's very excited about what they just watched. I don't think this episode broke new ground in terms of Doctor Who plots, but we'll see. Very unconventionally structured episode, straight to the season arc. Its second part has to be seen for a proper evaluation, but thoroughly enjoyed it. God damn, that was intense. Whole episode was edge of your seat stuff. I don't even know what else to say. Roll on next week. Oh, I've missed the grandeur of RTD finals. So yeah, that's everyone seems to be really positive. I'm trying to look for a negative comment to see if I can get another perspective, but so far everybody is really, really enjoying it, saying it was the edge of their seat, giving it 8s, 9s, 10 out of 10s, and saying it was absolutely superb. So I guess that really sums up everybody's reaction to this. We had a good episode of Doctor Who. Isn't that insane? We actually got one.
It's been a pretty decent season. I'm interested. Yeah, I'm also going to do a rewatch. We're going to do a ranking of every episode next week and talk a little bit about our thoughts now that the season is over, or then when the season is over. And I'm interested to see what we think of it, you know?
I think right now, not having done my rewatch, the season's like a 7.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think it's about a 7. Because it's been weird. It's been patchy. It's been paced weird. There's been some banger episodes. There's been some fucking atrocious ones. There has been a lot of mediocre stuff. But I think there's something good in every episode.
Yeah.
And, there's not been an episode that I thought was truly unforgivable. Like, even Space Babies, like, Shooty and Millie are so much fun to watch that it makes the episode go by quick in an otherwise horrendous time. But yeah, we'll discuss that.
Speaking of the Doctor and Ruby, I do wish there was a little bit more depth in their relationship this season, because it's always, we've been sold on the idea of them being best schoolmates, and we've definitely gotten that vibe, but there needs to be some kind of conflict in there, you know. I was expecting a kind of conflict to pop up where Ruby is upset to discover the Doctor went back in time and he could have seen her mum. But,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it kind of Ruby's, turns out she's completely fine with the idea that the Doctor could have found out the identity of her mum. Okay. You know, that kind of stuff. It feels like there needs to be a bit more conflict with any character, really. There's been no conflicts with the Doctor or any of the other characters. There's not even been too many proper villains this season. It's been a very weird season.
I was about to say, what are the villains that we've had? We've had a bogey monster, which wasn't really a villain, but was a manifestation of whatever. There was Maestro, straight up villain. Yeah, that's a straight up villain. There was the concept of war, was a villain. There was the Dream episode, 73 yards. So no villain in that because
the politician technically, but not really.
But
villain.
not really anything.
Like the politician dude was a normal politician dude. You know,
yeah.
He just wants to nuke a country. You know,
that's
all
what
do. Keir Starmer said.
Yeah. And Dot and Bubble, I guess racisms were the villain. Rogue, Bird People.
Technically they were villains because they wanted to take over the entire universe, but the threat within the episode didn't feel villainous enough. They were just cosplayers who kill people, I guess.
Well, they weren't even cosplayers; they were role players.
Yes.
Yeah. And Legend of Ruby Sunday, I guess Sutekh right at the end, but that's like the big bad villain. So yeah, that's like 3 villains, but across 8 episodes. Like maybe 4. You could stretch maybe to 4, but yeah, weird. But I have been enjoying. I wish we had more episodes. I would take. I saw a tweet. And it was like I would much rather have 2-year waits between seasons and have stronger seasons than no wait at all, like just year gaps, and have some of these more weaker episodes. But at the same time, Doctor Who's also never been good, so I don't know why why people think otherwise.
Yeah, but the main problem with the show since 2009 is there's been no consistency, and when there's no consistency to when seasons are being released, that's when people start not watching the show because they don't know it's back on, or they lose interest, you know. Because back in the day, you know, between 2005 and 2008, we knew when to expect Doctor Who every spring, every end of March or start of April, and we just knew when to watch the show. Whereas, you know, casual viewers have no idea it's even back on, maybe, you know, which is a shame.
Yeah, but, you know, I think with it moving to streaming now, that people will maybe start watching it in a different way now that it's just always available. And we saw some, like, I think it was Rogue got really, really good ratings. Overnight, it got, like, 3-4 million or something, which was one of the series highs so far.
I think I just which episode was it? I think either Dawson Bubble or Rogue, whichever one that was placed 7th in the week, and it was the top rated drama apart from like 2 episodes of like 2 different soap operas. So it was a top scripted drama that wasn't a soap opera, which is fucking great, you know. And of course, obviously there's negative people saying, but it only got 3.5 million. No TV show is getting above 4 million these days. It's the entire landscape of television has completely changed since even 5 years ago. 5 years ago, you know, it's insane how quickly things have changed.
And literally, like, I get as someone who is a fan of wrestling, WWE have got a deal with, in America, they have a deal with Fox to broadcast SmackDown. And that, like, consistently each week gets between, like, 1.5 and 2 million viewers. And they're like, hell yeah, this is the best ratings ever. This is such a strong show. This is our flagship show. It's doing amazing in the ratings. And they just got $1 billion deal, you know, for 2 million. This is a whole million more than that in the UK. Not even in the US. There's way less people in the UK than there is in the US. The target audience is way smaller, and it's still doing really well.
I think I just saw today that the premiere of House of the Dragon season 2 only got 7 million viewers in America, and HBO are celebrating because that's really good, even though it is. I think season 1 premiered with 10 million, this premiered with 7 million, which is still really fucking good because no other TV show is getting 7 million in America.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's crazy.
7 million
crazy,
is amazing. But yeah. Viewers going down does not mean anything when the show is being made available forever. Like BBC iPlayer is going to be around. Well, not forever, but you know what I mean. It's got like an infinity to it.
But yeah, I'm not worried about the future of Doctor Who. I think Doctor Who's just kind of going to be one of those things. It's like Star Trek and Star Wars, and it's just going to always be around in one form or another, even if it's not on TV. There's Big Finish, there's comics, and then eventually it'll come back on TV, and there's movies, and there's always going to be Doctor Who in some shape or form. And I don't think we got anything to worry. And I also don't give a shit. I just don't give a shit about the ratings. I know some people get they get so obsessed with them, but I just don't care. Just don't care. Watch the show or don't.
I just looked this up. It is like the #1 UK television show. Across all the UK Doctor Who production activities generated 256 million since the show was relaunched and produced in Wales, and 87% of economic output was generated in the UK creative industries. So it's like it's the #1 show in the UK. It generated 256 million into the British economy. That's insane.
Yeah. Goddamn cool show. Goddamn cool show.
Most of the time.
Yeah, well, some of the time.
60% of the time. But I think we're mostly positive about this season. We'll also talk a bit more next week about the whole season. Sorry, this episode is kind of short.
Consider this part 1. This is part 1 of our finale review.
Well, I think I'd give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoy it for what it is. It's just too much of a setup for my liking.
I need to watch it again before I'm comfortable giving it a rating because I do not remember it well enough. I remember like the broad strokes of like, oh, this is how it started, this was in the middle, this is how it ended, but there might be little bits in between, like weird lines of dialogue or weird performances and things like that might knock it down for me. I don't know. Well, I need to watch it again before next week to really solidify my thoughts.
A big Doctor Who weekend if you like consuming everything that everyone is giving us at the moment. We've got Pyramids of Mars, which is 75 minutes. We've got 5th season final. We've got 2 episodes of Unleashed. That's an hour there. And we've got a video commentary to the final episode. That is a lot for me to watch next week. That's a lot.
And then nothing until Christmas. The wait begins again. The wait begins again.
But yeah,
it's gonna be weird.
I am happy that we have Doctor Who back. It's been a long time since we've had a good season. I would say the last good season was season 11 in 2018. 6 years ago. It does feel weird, like having to get used to liking Doctor Who again, because I hate watched this show for a long time. So it's it's a gear adjustment. It's a change in reality to be like, wait, hang on, I'm really liking this. This is wrong. But it's nice. I'm glad Doctor Who's back. Best time of the year. And if you're also glad Doctor Who is back, be sure to subscribe to our channel where we watch every new episode as it comes out. We'll watch every spin-off when they come out. We have no idea if they come out, if we're going to make some, it's going to take a while. And of course, we cover old episodes, new episodes. Pick your favorite Doctor. If you like the 10th Doctor, for example, we've done loads of 10th Doctor episodes. We have a curated playlist of every 10th Doctor episode that we've covered. So we've covered probably like 10 Doctor episodes.
A lot.
Something
probably.
like that.
Or we've almost covered every single Jodie Whittaker episode. So if you love or hate the 13th Doctor, we have covered so much 13th Doctor stuff. So, feel free to jump in on that. As Scott said, all over our homepage, I've got everything's in specific Doctor playlists. Or if you don't care and you just like the new era or you just like the classic era, that's there as well. It's all organized up. We had some weird burst in views on our Big Bang Theory review, which is a lot of fun. I don't know why it suddenly jumped up in views. It gained literally like 200 views in about 48 hours. Don't know what happened to it.
And if you're new, when he says the Big Bang Theory, we're talking about the Big Bang, which is this final of series 5.
The episode.
That's what we called the episode.
Yeah, the episode's called The Big Bang Theory, and it has a fun thumbnail of Big Bang. Anyway, got sidetracked. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Who watches who? Follow us on podcast feeds: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, where you can get this podcast in audio form instead of video form. We're also on Facebook at Watches Doctor. Who Watches Who. We're on Twitter at Watches Doctor. We are all over the place. You can buy a book that I wrote on links. You can join our Discord. I don't know. I'm very tired. Look at the description. What are you here for? Look at the description. Go on. Fuck off. Look at the description. And we'll see you next week when we cover the final. To answer your question, we have 16 videos on the 10th Doctor.
Cool.
By the way.
That's
so 16
plenty
whole
for
episodes.
everyone to feast on. We've also done the 14th
Yeah.
Doctor, so that's a lot of David Tennant stuff we've covered.
We did all the 14th Doctor. God, what a really busy Doctor that was. All 3 episodes. Yeah.
We'll see you
10th
next
Doctor.
week for
10th Doctor and 13th Doctor both have 16 videos.
Nice.
So there you go. We've covered both of them
What
the
is
same
next
amount
week's
of
episode
times.
called?
The
Empire of
the Empire of
the Empire Strikes Back. The Empire of Death.
The Empire of Death. Interesting. Kind of a boring name. We'll see.
It's an average
Also-
Doctor Who title.
It is. Anyway, bye.
Bye.